I didn't get drafted. I went from being the guy on my team to playing all the minutes to not getting in at all and not playing, and it was tough.
Sherron Marlon Collins, born March 18th, 1987. There's so many great, gritty, talented hoopers that the world forgets about more and more each year, or the youth never get to see. Today's feature is one of them, but early on in his journey, he was most certainly one to watch. He could shoot, pass, and his handle was second to none. I admired his game, and honestly, it was bittersweet writing this because I remember how good Sherron Collins was, mostly him being a key element that took down my Derrick Rose-led Memphis Tigers back in '08 to win the national championship. A piece of history I still haven't forgiven he and Mario Chalmers for, but as I got sunken into his story, it became more and more unbelievable this guy's NBA career didn't go much better than lasting only 20 games. I remember watching him in high school, and you could tell he was on another level as a point guard. He was strong with the rock, and his handle always seemed extremely polished, like it was no way the defense was taking it from him.
Of Hashim yet. I think he's getting better and better.
Look at the pressure by Poland out front. The easy run out.
Collins would choose to go to Kansas, and it couldn't have been a better situation. He came into a young, winning team and went to the regional finals as a freshman, only to win it all the very next year, with, like mentioned, Sherron playing a huge role on both ends to switch the momentum of that now classic basketball game in KU's favor. His junior season, he really broke out and put the college basketball world on notice that he was no question one of the best players in the country, not just point guards. He started every game, averaged 19 points and 5 assists while shooting a comfortable 37% from 3, taking 6 a game in 35 minutes. The Jayhawks relied on him heavily as their now leader, and he took them to the regional semifinals in the tournament as their only upperclassman in the rotation. He did everything you could ask for: All-American, leader vocally and by example, breaking numerous KU records and being one of the scariest guards for opponents to face. Literally, between he and Kemba Walker in their college years, I'm not sure who seems harder to defend. Best part about Sherron's game was he wanted to crush his opponent, or what they call a dog today, and he showed it on both ends. When he went undrafted in 2010, I couldn't understand why all NBA teams felt his game wouldn't translate. Later on, I understood that for these reasons, his growth was stunted. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Sherron Collins was a 5'11" point guard from Chicago, Illinois that grew up on the tough playgrounds the city is known for, which is how he developed a toughness he kept with him all throughout a legendary college career. He played high school basketball at Crane Tech Prep in Chicago and was actually a multi-sport athlete who excelled on the field and diamond as well. But basketball was his passion, and it showed glaring on the court. He chose KU because winning was important to him, much more than there always being at least 5 other NBA prospects on the team possibly soaking up his shine. By his junior high school season, he was already a beast, averaging 19.8 points a game and 5 assists. But it was his senior year that he exploded, averaging 33 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. He was also named a McDonald's All-American, Jordan Brand participant, and 5-star recruit across the board. He was ranked the second best point guard in the nation according to Scout.com. Stunt number 1, coming back for a senior year. Every college basketball player envisions some of the same things: arriving on campus, breaking records, possibly leaving early, and senior night. It's hard to turn that down, especially as a junior so close to it. A night where the place you've been giving blood, sweat, and tears to for the last 3 years is finally about to all celebrate you in unison. You may never feel that kind of love again, especially at a place like KU. but maybe coming back after a stellar junior year was a year too much for Collins from an on-court perspective. You've already won a championship, had great averages, and have the allure of being an underclassman with potential on your side. Let me tell you in case you don't know, seniors, although respected, are looked at a little different by NBA personnel. There's no room for errors for you. You're supposed to know pretty much everything, along with the fact you're older than the freshman players crowding the draft boards today, placing an undesired layer over you versus the intrigue underclassmen have. Yes, it's just 1 year, but it says a lot if you were good enough to leave early versus a 4-year guy in Collins' days. He was coming off averaging 19 points and 5 assists a game while winning basically every award you could as an individual. In hindsight, leaving then was the right move. There was nothing to prove as a senior, as then you're only giving critics of your game another shot to say, "See, told you." His production dropped off significantly his senior year from 19 a game to 15.5. Assists per game were down, 3-point shooting as well, although slightly, and his team lost in the second round of the tournament. His stock took a major hit when, for a point guard his size, all had to go right to seize the opportunity. Yes, he got to finish school, and that's lifelong props to him, but from a basketball perspective, you gotta know when to leave. Stunt number 2, down stock. I admire anyone that stays the full term in college, but honestly, if it means going to the NBA or possibly missing that chance, you have to go, no matter how much you love your school, because believe it or not, they're not thinking about you much once your eligibility is up. They move on to the next star recruit, and rightfully so, that may do bigger things for the program than you did. Either way, as a basketball player trying to get to the ultimate goal, you have to do what's best for you, and one of those things is watching your draft stock and striking while it's hot enough. Sherron being older, already having 2 kids by his sophomore season, one that passed away in his arms 10 days old, arthroscopic knee surgery as a sophomore, and foot problems, he bet on another year, underperformed, and his stock plummeted. This resulted in him being undrafted in 2010, then signed to a 2-year contract with the Bobcats, who released him after just 20 games to make roster space, a situation he wouldn't have been in as a first-round pick. One he most certainly would have been a year earlier before his stock was down. Stunt number 3, overweight and other issues. All his life, Sherron was a more stocky guy, right on the edge of being overweight should he have a setback take away his athletic training. This is something a team thinks about and closely monitors about a player, because being on that edge can easily lead to injuries and the player not being able to perform his duties on the floor. Nothing worse than a player you're paying sitting on the bench for his team, especially when it's because he's not disciplined enough to control his diet. You look at Zion Williamson and what the Pelicans are dealing with now. Every time he's hurt, he gains what seems to be an extra 30-40 pounds. A guy that could be one of the best players in the league with his skills, but can't stay healthy, mainly because he's just too big for his athleticism, and not big as in muscle, big as in extra, and never really being in shape. Collins had setbacks in college and also some in his short NBA stint, which is one of the reasons the Bobcats waived him in 2011. What's interesting is that Paul Silas, Charlotte's head coach, said that the team tried to re-sign him later on and had flights scheduled for Collins to fly in, take a physical, and sign with the team. But Collins wound up missing a first flight, then a second, and the Bobcats pulled their offer. Many believing the missed flights were because Collins knew he was out of shape and wouldn't pass his physical. All in all, Sherron Collins had a solid journey. Bill Self calls him one of KU's best guards ever, and that's a great title to have. He made the NBA from where he's from and at his size, and left KU as the winningest player in school history. He had his jersey retired in 2018 and last seen as a head coach at Lawrence Free State High School. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.